Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome. My name is Pat Adams. I see we have Kiasha Naidu and Sasha Pillay on the line. Welcome, welcome. I hope you are keeping well. I'm going to share my presentation, so please, if you could confirm that you can see it, that would be great.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So thank you for joining this session. Today I'm going to do a session on experiencing Venice as a savvy tourist. So just in terms of travel, something that is very close to my heart, I was fortunate to travel to Venice as a representative for furniture companies in Italy. And it was an amazing experience. So, without going too much into that, let me introduce myself. I'm a seasoned global explorer. I specialize in navigating off the beaten destinations and uncovering hidden local gems. So, thank you for joining and a very warm welcome again. I would like to please ask that you introduce yourself and tell us what it is that you do. So I'll start with Kiasha, if you could go first, and then Sasha. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kiasha Naidu, and I I am in the field of transformation and change management. What I do is I help organizations shift from their current way of working to new ways of working with a particular focus on how people adopt either certain processes or applications or anything new that is introduced. I'm very happy to be here. I think this topic is particularly interesting because I'd like to do some travel to Europe. I'm based in North America, Toronto, Canada, and I'd love to see more of Europe. So thank you for hosting this, Pat Adams.
Thank you so much, Kiasha. Appreciate it. Sasha, if you could please introduce yourself.
Sure, I'm Sasha Pillay, based in Johannesburg, work within finance, within FMCG, have always been within FMCG, with some of the various multinationals, currently at Danone, trying to make yogurt and sell it to people here in Johannesburg.
Sounds delicious. Thank you, Sasha,
Sure.
for that introduction. So we're going to start off with a small little activity. The question is, have you traveled anywhere in the world? And if you could please write in the chat and name 2 countries you have visited. Can you confirm that you've heard the instruction?
Yes.
Thanks. I just want to double check that my presentation is in the right mode. Perhaps, Kiasha, if you could read Sasha's comments in the chat, and Sasha, if you could read Kiasha's, we'll move on after that is done.
I see Sasha loves Zanzibar, and it's something, it's a place I've always wanted to go to. It just looks phenomenal. I think one of the nicest island, or it's not an island. Is it on the coast or is it an island?
It's an
It's an
island.
island.
An island, eh?
Yeah.
But it's at like the waters and it looks like it's out of the Caribbean. And it's one of the places I definitely want to visit.
It sounds amazing. It reminds me of Freddie Mercury
Why?
He was
because he
born
has,
there.
yes,
He was born there?
Yep.
yes, yes.
No. Like Pakistani, grew up in London, but born
Persian,
in.
Parsi.
Persian
Parsi.
descent, yes. Mm.
Oh.
So I think his family was Parsi from the west coast of India, and they had settled in Zanzibar. And from there, his immediate family migrated to the UK.
Oh my God, I'm learning so much on this webinar already.
Sounds like you'll be joining many more.
So it looks like Kiasha's favorites are very similar, also islands,
Mhm.
Mauritius and Jamaica. Jamaica
Yeah.
definitely on my bucket list.
Oh, Jamaica was
So very
amazing.
similar vibes, I think,
Yeah.
from what I hear.
Yeah.
Lovely. So Sasha, yours was Zanzibar and?
Oh, I just put one. Sorry, I
Oh,
stepped away for a second. I'd say probably Zanzibar and Rome.
Mhm.
mm. I thought you would say Paris, but
Hmm.
thank you for that. And I'm only saying that because a little birdie told me that you got married there.
True, true, I did, but I think Rome is a better city.
Oh, lovely. I haven't been to Rome, but it certainly sounds fascinating. So thank you for joining in that little activity. So just some of the workshop training objectives. I'm going to be equipping travelers with a blueprint really to navigate the transportation in Venice, very important. And this really is to maximize iconic sightseeing and authentic culinary experiences. I have a love for cooking and for food, so it's also one of my passions. So the course structure, we're going to be talking about the logistics and where to go, navigating the canals, the transportation system, the core highlights, and we're going to be going through the Venetian culinary arts. We're going to end with a summary and interactive question and answer. The workshop method, if I could ask Kiasha to read the first two and then Sasha the following 3 points. Thank you. So Kiasha, you
So
go first.
the workshop will be comprised of mini lectures and activities.
Thank you. Sash, you can.
And we're gonna follow that up with a group discussion, some reflection on the activities, and then lastly a bit of Q&A.
Thank you. Perfect. So, just in terms of a baseline confidence on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you traveling to Venice? You can type your answer in the chat. 5 and 6. So, Kiasha 5 and Sasha 6. Thank you. Let's hope by the end of this it will be a 10. So the benefits of this workshop is to equip travelers with essential logistics for a seamless Venetian experience. Remember that every country is different, and each country has its little quirks and nuances, what to be aware of, what to um, look out for. And if one is prepared, your travel experience can be really enjoyable. We're also going to be looking at the cultural, culinary, and visual allure of Venice. So, benefits to you. How will this workshop benefit you? You may raise your hand and answer. Yeah, I shall go ahead.
I'm okay with Sash going first. I think he had his hand.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see that. So, Sasha, you go first then.
No worries. I think Venice is something I've always seen or heard about in TV, magazines, books. Never quite been there. Interesting, interested rather to find out how transportation and travel would work in and out of Venice, and the different types of commute, be it by water or road or even rail. So I think that would be the biggest benefit for me, figuring transport within Venice.
Thank you.
I
Go ahead.
think very similar to Sasha. I think what makes Venice unique is those canals. And I've heard lots of things about these canals. The one is that the smells that come from these canals are not really inviting. So I want to know how true that is. I've heard that from a few people. But then also, I think traveling on water is very unique when it comes to canals. And I'm curious about that. And obviously, I've watched like Eat, Pray, Love, and lots of emphasis on Italy and Italian food. How good is
Yeah,
that? So, yes, lots of interest and curiosity. So, I think this workshop will help benefit me in understanding it a bit better.
thank you. So the one thing that comes to mind for me is when I was in high school, we had a set work that we had to read called The Merchant of Venice. It was a Shakespeare novel. And it was quite incredible. I was transported to the 16th century, where Venice was really a hub for merchants to do trading. And, when you arrive in Venice and you are transported back to these little alleyways and canals and these little boats, and, it just brought back so many memories for me. So it definitely has a lot of enchantment and something that I think if you have the opportunity, it's an amazing place to travel to. So thank you for that. The learner expectations, what are you expecting from this short workshop that we are running today? Maybe if I can just go out of the presentation and take you through the whiteboard, or rather to the whiteboard, and if you could just text what your learner expectations are, we can move along. So, can you see the whiteboard? On your right hand side, you'll find a panel with various icons. If you go to the T, that is to text, you can text your answer there. Okay, I see your comment, Kiasha. Clarity and understanding, ways to travel and commute. Sasha, yours is cuisine of Venice, transport network to Venice. Kiasha, culinary culture and key sites. Thank you, that's perfect. Thank you so much for texting over there. I think we can move back to the presentation. Thank you for your participation. It's appreciated. Okay, perfect. So going back to the presentation. Just confirm that you can see the presentation.
We can see it
Okay,
in the
perfect.
presenter's view.
Okay, shall I try and reshare that? Okay. Sorry about that. It seems to be a little glitch. Okay, what do you see now?
It's perfect now, right?
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, so that's great. So we've done the whiteboard exercise. Thank you. So just in terms of housekeeping rules, remember, respect everyone's opinion. Please mute your mics. Raise your hand if you have a question. Participate in the activities. Feel free to ask questions in the session, but more importantly, enjoy the session. One more thing that I would like to point out is that we have what is known as the parking lot. So this is really when we don't have enough time and we park the questions and revisit it at the end of the session so that if the time allows, we can then address it. So I hope that's okay with everyone. Okay, so I'm going to ask Sasha if you could please read the introduction, perhaps the first point, and Kiasha can read the second. This is just an introduction to Venice, the magic of the floating city. And before we do that, I want to say andiamo. Andiamo means let's go. So go ahead, Sasha. You can start with the first point.
Sure. Venice is not just a city, it's an engineered architectural marvel built upon a lagoon of 118 small islands connected by over 400 bridges.
Thank you.
The dual nature of Venice is an unparalleled romantic open-air museum that requires careful navigation to truly appreciate beyond the crowds.
Thank you, Kiasha. It sounds fascinating that it's a lagoon of 118 small islands and it has 400 bridges. You know, it's amazing how this was designed over the years. So we are following on to another activity. This is a true or false, the misconceptions about Venice. Kiasha, if you could read the first two and Sasha the second two points, that would be great. Thank you.
Myth number one, Venice is built directly on water. Are we supposed to say whether this is true or false or just read it out?
Not right now. Just read it out, and then we're going to do the activity after.
Okay, so myth one, Venice is built directly on water. Myth number two, the canals smell terrible all the time.
I'm sure you would say yes to this.
Rumor has it.
Thank you.
Okay, myth three, Venice is a ghost town completely devoid of locals. Myth four, all gondoliers will serenade you.
What do you think about that?
One true. Two, I don't know all the
Perhaps,
time. All the time, I feel
per-
like, you know, sorry.
sorry. Perhaps if I can ask you to utilize the panel on the right, um, and maybe just use the text and write true or false on the screen under each number. So just put a T or an F. You don't have to text the entire word.
Mm.
Okay, I'm seeing a lot of Fs. Okay, just confirm if you are done and we'll go on. We'll move on. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so the reality is that Venice doesn't actually float on water, nor is it built on solid ground. It was built on this lagoon of 118 small islands. So if you can imagine the the architecture of it was based around a square. So all these little small islands formed a square. And, you know, to make the ground stable enough to support these structures, remember that they had to be very careful because when you build anything in water, you have to have very strong structures. So they utilized wooden stakes deep into they pushed it deep into the thick mud and with clay layers beneath. And over time, with the erosion, it solidified. And you find now that the structures are pretty solid. And the thing about wooden stakes, if it doesn't have any oxygen, it won't break. So that is quite interesting. Sorry, my mouse has gone AWOL. Okay, and then the canals. So remember that in winter, the smell is not terrible. You would find that it's just your normal seaside smell. But during the summer months, it can become quite smelly, and that's just due to all the heat, during that time. But I suppose that is expected. During hot weather, you're more prone to smelling things a lot more. Venice is a ghost town, completely devoid of locals. Not 100% true. However, you do find that because of over tourism, the locals are finding it more and more difficult to live in a very congested area with tourists. Because remember, if you are living in a place where there are lots of tourists, you still have to do your everyday chores. You still have to go to work. You know, how you do your shopping and get your groceries. You've got to take a water boat and go to the city in order to do all of these tasks. So you do find that more and more locals are moving out so that life can be a little bit more manageable. All gondoliers will serenade you. That is a myth because um, it's not part of their job. However, you will find one or two very jovial characters who will happily serenade you. It's also interesting that taking a gondolier is very expensive. So you have to be very wary about utilizing them, and they'll taunt you and try to get you to get on a boat. But you have to know, what are the cheaper modes of transportation. You get a gondolier that is basically a lot bigger, and a lot of the locals would take this. So you could pay anything between €2 to €4 to utilize what the locals use as opposed to what the tourists use. The gondoliers charge anything from €80 upward. So obviously, if they identify a tourist, and I think that happens in most countries where you go, if anybody identifies a tourist, they try to milk them as much as possible. So it's important to note that. So I'm just going to erase these. Okay, great. So does that give you a better idea of what's true and what's false? Okay, so essential logistics and when to go. So the seasonal sweet spot, the timing and entry requirements. So between spring, or rather, I should say during spring, which is April and May, this is where it's a lovely time to go, as well as autumn, September and October. The weather is pleasant, it's ideal, there's moderate crowds. During the summertime, June and August, peak crowds because let's face it, Europe has holidays during that time. So there's more tourists, it's high humidity, and occasional canal odors. Winter during November and March, the air is crisp, there's fewer tourists, and there's the unique phenomenon of aqua alta, which is high tides floating. So the waters, the tide comes in during this period, and you find that people have to actually wear a type of very sturdy knee-high boot, like a gum boot, if any of you are familiar with that. So just so that you are not damaging your normal shoes and you can wade through this tidal waters to get to your destinations. Are you all following? Do you have any questions at this point? I don't see any hands, so I'm going to continue. Arrival gateways. Kiasha, if you could read the first point, and Sasha, if you could read the second.
So by air, Marco Polo Airport, options to reach the island include the Ali Laguna water shuttle or the ACTV bus to Bia, how do I pronounce that? Piazzale.
Piazzale Roma.
Piazzale, Roma.
Good. Thank you.
And
Sasha?
then by train, Venice Santa Lucia station. Stepping out of the station provides an immediate breathtaking view of the Grand Canal.
Thank you. So, interesting, by train, they have a very good train transportation system, or rather the train transportation. It's very fast. And if you talk about precision, and if you've traveled to Paris and utilized the underground, you understand how efficiency works, in terms of the train transportation system. Everything is timed perfectly to the second. If they say the train is coming at 5 o'clock, the train will arrive exactly at 5. Very convenient. Obviously, from a safety point of view, you would have to look out, be wary of pickpockets. You do have pickpockets. So, just be aware when traveling. But I suppose that happens in all countries. You'll always have the bad element that you have to be cautious of. So, in terms of transportation, navigating the canals, getting around without cars, people don't utilize a lot of cars in Venice because of the canals. Um, there are certain areas where you can drive a car, but it's not a very large space. And then, of course, you have what is known as the Vaporetto, which is the water bus. And this is really the lifeblood of the locals. Um, a pro tip around utilizing this is that single tickets are very expensive. So it's more effective if you purchase perhaps a 24, 48, or 72-hour travel card to save money. And line one, the slow scenic route to the entire canal, they are, oops, that went for a loop. Um, and then, of course, I spoke about the gondolas where the standard ride, depends on the time. So for 30 minutes, you can pay something between 80 euros to 90 euros. And it increases after 7 p.m., the price. So you do need to ensure that you confirm the price with the gondolier before stepping on the gondolier. And then I spoke about the Tegotti, which is the large gondola which the locals utilize. And that is way, way cheaper. The cost is approximately between 2 euros to 4 euros per crossing. So you can see the difference. Of course, the best way is walking. This is where you find those hidden gems. Um, you'll also find that a lot of people bike, and that is why they are so fit, because there's more walking and biking around Venice, and they have little lanes for bikes. So you don't have the vehicles who, are driving together with the bikes because the Venetians do drive very fast if they have a car. Um, Interesting little fact there. Okay, the core highlights. Sash, if you can read the first 3 points and Kiasha the last two.
Sure. So, the historic heart of Venice, St. Mark's Square, Piazza San Marco, St. Mark's Basilica, a masterpiece of Italo architecture.
Uh,
Byzantine architecture.
is that Doge's palace?
They
That's not,
they
it's
pronounce it
not Elon's
Dog
Doge.
Dogi's Palace.
Doge's palace, okay. Doge's palace, Palazzo Ducale, the Gothic seat of Venetian political power, and the Rialto Bridge.
So all of these are iconic, you know, areas that you must see or sites that you should visit. Very interesting. The Rialto Bridge, for example, is the oldest and most famous bridge, spanning the Canal, offering classic panoramic views. It's really something to see. Um, so these are just what tourists normally go for. We then move on to the Venetian culinary arts. Again, I'm going to ask our general participants to read. Yeah, so perhaps you would like to read the slide.
Chichetti culture and local flavors, the Baccaro tour, Chichetti, Venetian tapas ranging from €1. That's a euro, right?
Yes.
€1, 1.5 euros to 3.5 euros per piece. The Ombra, the Venetian spritz.
Thank you. So, a very interesting thing about Venetian culture is that at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, everybody goes to the local wine bar for a prosecco or an aperitif, and just to socialize, you know. After hard days of work, everybody just gets together and they have this jolly little time. It's really lovely to see. And of course, they serve little snacks similar to tapas plates where you can have little snacks of pizza. You can have prosecco, prosciutto, all these good things. Sardines, they love to serve sardines, but a really, really lovely experience. Okay, so here's an activity that we're going to do. I would like you to use this panel on your right, and if you could just put a green tick mark next to the words that describe any food or beverage served in Venice. Just confirm if when you're done. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so did somebody put a tick on pop?
No.
Wow. Is it? arancini. So arancini is a rice ball that has mozzarella cheese and it's dipped in breadcrumbs, very delicious. Pizza, we all know pizza. Polenta. Polenta is maize, it's made out of maize. It's also very similar to pap, but it's made out of yellow maize, and they eat this quite a lot. Parmigiana di Melanzani. This is Parmesan cheese sprinkled over your aubergines in a delicious tomato gravy. Very lovely. Focaccia, lovely focaccia breads. Gelato, of course, you cannot go to Italy without having their gelato. Prosecco, I highly recommend having a glass of Prosecco. It's a sparkling wine, very lovely on the palate. And of course, we all know what pasta is. So thank you for doing that. I'm going to close this. Great. Oh, I should rub that out. Okay, great. So just a bit on the sustainable tourism and cultural etiquette. It's imperative that tourists and the locals preserve this fragile city. There is the impact of over-tourism. It's important not to litter. Venice has strict waste management rules. They also have strict rules around keeping to the right. So, keep walkways and bridges clear of commuting locals. And then no picnicking on steps. If you sit on any of the touristy areas, the Basilica, etc., and you decide to sit down and have a sandwich on the steps, you will be fined. So you need to be very careful around that. And it's important to support the local artisans because this is basically their livelihood. And they rely on tourists. So just those are some of the things to remember. So in terms of key learnings, Sash, if you could read the slide, please.
Sure. So, key takeaways for an unforgettable journey: get lost intentionally to find hidden, quiet squares away from the main tourist hubs. Invest in transport passes early and plan around the seasonal tides. Respect the city's fragile ecosystem and unique heritage.
Great, thank you so much. Kiash, if you can read the practical tips when traveling to Venice.
Sure. Practical tips when traveling to Venice: bureaucracy and booking ahead, packing and luggage logistics, getting around the water, eating and local etiquette.
Thank you. So very important. Bureaucracy and booking ahead. Remember, secure your QR entry code. So if you are visiting Venice as a day tripper, on peak days between April and July, you are required to pay an access fee online. Booking at least 4 days in advance drops the price to €5, while last minute bookings can double to €10. So important to book ahead and save money around that. Overnight guests, you get a free pass if you are staying at a hotel or rental inside the Venice municipality. They have quaint little hotels in and around Venice. So if you are staying there, you do get a free pass. And then, you must still, however, you must still register online to get a free exemption QR code. And this code you need to carry on your phone so transit police, they will conduct random spot checks. And if you don't have all of this in place, you could be fined from 50 euros to 300 euros. So for many of us coming from Africa, this is a lot of money. So just something to be very mindful. And then reserve major sites early. So if you want to go visit Doge's Palace, St. Mark's Basilica, and buy a ticket without a massive wait, book your time slots online well before your flight because it gets very busy. Pack light or prepare to sweat during the summer months. um, and then every single street involves crossing arched stone bridges with stairs. So remember, don't carry too many heavy bags because there are no porters and nobody's going to help you. A lot of the roads are cobblestoned and you've got to carry your luggage yourself. So it's very important to remember that. Choose your shoes wisely. You can easily walk between 15,000 to 25,000 steps a day. Leave the flip-flops and heels at home. The ancient stone paving tiles get slippery when wet, and it's very hard on your feet. Bring supportive, well broken in walking shoes. Buy a Vaporetto pass, a single way water ticket is pricey. It's around 9.50 euros. If you plan to buy a 24, 48, or 72-hour pass instead, it's a lot cheaper. And validate every single time when you utilize the transport because you will have the Vaporetto police who constantly check to see if you have validated. Don't forget there is the €2 gondola alternative, which is budget friendly, and at least you'll be saving money to purchase other things from the artisans in Venice. Restaurants to eat, try not to eat around the main hubs. If you go down little alleyways, you'll find quaint little restaurants that's way cheaper. And it's a lot more welcoming, and you get individual attention. Knowledge check, we've been through transportation and navigation. We spoke about the local rules and sustainable tourism, dining and daily culture. Remember, people are very friendly. Obviously, if you are reciprocal, you will enjoy your time immensely. So again, I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to use the whiteboard. And I would like you to write down any two additional travel tips that come to mind. Here you can use a color and underscore or rather write text using a color if possible. If not, don't worry too much. Well done, Sasha. Definitely get an eSIM in advance. Absolutely. Kiasha, always validate rail tickets. Strangely enough, the police really do their job. So they will be checking to see. So thank you for that. Great points. Just confirm that you can see the slides again.
We can see in presenter mode.
Okay, let's stop that for a minute and reshare. Okay. Okay, so let's go over questions and answers. What questions do you have about what we have discussed today? Anything in particular? While I try to get this, you can apply your minds.
What did was it chicheta? What did that mean in particular? I think that was when you were explaining sort of uh, the local lifestyle, like what people do in the afternoon. They go down and they have some tapas. And
Yeah.
what's chicheta in particular?
So that's also something very similar to going for a little meal,
Okay.
and you have little plates that they offer you.
So like
Um,
finger foods kind of
yes,
uh
yes,
oh,
a little snack. And something that I didn't mention is there is a difference between standing at the bar and sitting. Because when you're standing, you don't pay a fee. But when you sit, you need to pay a service fee. So that for me was
mm.
very interesting. Even if you have a coffee, an espresso, if you stand at the bar, you don't pay for the service. But if you are sitting, and it's the same with the piazzos, where they play, you have an orchestra playing music. If you want to sit at a table at a restaurant, you need to pay a service fee. But otherwise, you can stand outside and just watch. So yeah, it's interesting. Sasha, you anything? Any questions?
No, no questions. But maybe for you in your visit, what was your favorite dish that you sampled whilst there?
So I must say, for me, I was fortunate that the my host um, was a friend of mine called Giuseppe Silvestrini, and it was a public holiday in Venice, and the idea was that friends and family get together and you have a barbecue. And that for me was my best meal because it was shared amongst friends and you got to speak to everyone. Giuseppe always laughed and said, "But you don't understand Italian, and my father doesn't understand English, but the two of you were speaking like you knew each other for years." And I think it was all about just hand signals and trying to understand what we were communicating to each other. But that for me was the best meal that I had while I was in Venice. Thank you for that question.
That's so awesome. And it brings up something like in terms of English, like how often do people actually speak English in Venice? Is it mainly Italian or is there a
So
lot of
it's,
English in
it's
the
mainly
restaurant?
Italian, and it would be advisable to learn some local lingo before you go. Some phrases, some words, even when you go into a restaurant. Um, I got by pointing to things, but obviously it would have helped had I known a bit of Italian. So yes, they do speak Italian, that's their main language. English, not so much. I think mainly for business people because they travel and they're doing business. Some people would speak English, but not so much the locals. Okay, so are you able to plan and arrange logistic effectively to maximize a seamless Venetian experience? Are you able to identify culinary, cultural, and iconic areas to visit in Venice? Perhaps on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you when next traveling to Venice? And maybe you can just raise your hand and indicate. Go ahead, Kiasha.
I feel like I've moved from the initial 5 to a 9. I think there's a lot more understanding and information around the choices I have for transport, for enjoying the cuisine, for knowing how to prepare in term that QR code was a game changer. Because I think there's small things that can really throw your holiday off. The last thing you want to do is be fined for eating a sandwich on steps or for not having a QR code or booking ahead. So that was very helpful information and I feel a lot more confident. Thank you.
Thank you. Sasha?
I think I'm feeling a 9 at the moment. It's pretty clear on the different methods of transportation into Venice and in and around Venice, and that was probably my primary concern. But yeah, I think I feel reasonably confident that I could be able to navigate my way around.
Thank you so much. Okay, so just identify an emoticon and send it as many times. So both of you said 9. So if you can send the emoticon 9 times, that would be cool. Okay, I'm not seeing anything. Are you doing anything? Oh, okay, great. Thank you. Thanks. Okay, we're almost done. Let's see if I can get this right. Okay, I'm not winning. Okay. So what new travel tips have you learned in this workshop today that you will use when traveling to Venice next? Go ahead, Kausha.
I think the bureaucracy and booking ahead, getting that QR code is important. The time of year was very important, especially coming in with the idea that it's stinky. The canals, so I know when to go, which I think is important in that spring and fall and avoid summer. Um, the water travel, like the bus versus the gondola, and the difference in pricing that you have to consider. And also that 7 p.m. cutoff on the gondola, I think was really interesting to know when to travel. The local etiquette, the importance of it, what to do, what not to do, the awareness of the pickpockets was
Yes.
really great information because, I mean, the last thing you want to do is have really important things on you, and whether it's your passport, whether it's your money, and then you're stuck. So having that awareness is important. And then I really liked the local lifestyle and the foods that are available and us identifying it. So that is all very useful information that I will use when traveling to Venice.
Thank you, Kasia. Sasha, from your side?
I think again the knowledge of the different transportation methods and how easy that could be, the pickpockets as well. I was not aware that this would be a city where that would be as large a risk as you mentioned. And then I think lastly probably what was it? Um, oh, I can't recall at this point, but probably those two are pretty big points for me.
Thank you. Okay, so the next steps, we have a workshop on the Amalfi Coast. The date is the 28th of May, the time from 10 to 1300. You may register by sending an email, and the venue will be notified via email. These are just additional resources that you may go through that could help you when traveling to Venice. And to connect with me, these are my contact details. Grazie, which is thank you in Italian. Thank you for your attention and your participation. It has been incredible having you join me for the session. So I'm going to stop recording now. Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening.